All right. Let's see, as per usual, that I am recording on every device and program that I should be. Yeah, check, checking and double checking, triple checking. Yeah, all right. Yeah. So without further ado, yeah. Again, if you are a old or a part of the old audience, if you're new, welcome. But yeah, this is the entire retreat. That is entire retreat podcast with Ode. That's me, your host, and AI Sky, trusted co-host, pilot, and assistant. Even though sometimes I think I'm the co-host, pilot, and assistant because I actually enjoy and benefit a lot from the AI's capabilities of explaining and educating regarding or relating to the areas we fly over. So, yeah, this should be the first part. Yeah, I think, or I know that it's the first part, but I think this is gonna be a series. And I try my best to, in a educating and entertaining way, to discuss and yeah, learn about Finnish history. Um, so let's see what this brings us. The area we're starting from is the kind of southern shores of Lake Ladoga or Laatokka in Finnish. It's not a part of Finland. I'm actually unsure about if it ever was a part of Finland. Oh my, a Finnish individual saying that out loud. But yeah, that what I researched beforehand is that this area here, again, those who are watching the gameplay here on YouTube can see as I now load into the actual location here. Yeah, this is the general area where from Finnish ancestors migrated to Finland. And that much I know that this is the largest lake. Don't quote me on that, but I'm quite sure that this is the largest lake in Europe. We're talking about 200, about a little over 200 kilometers long, from approximately southeast to north west, and then about 120 or 130 kilometers wide. I think it's something like 127 kilometers wide from approximately east to west. Then, so it's a humongous lake. I mean, it's a lake, and it has to do with the glaciers melting and stuff like that. So we're gonna learn about that soon. But yeah, Ice Age. That's kind of where we start from. I think, from kind of the immediate post-Ice Age era, because that's according to documented facts and history books and whatnot. The reason why then humans migrated north, because the ice melted, and I guess we got more or better environments where to then survive and maybe even thrive in. So yeah, yeah. Let's bring AI Sky here and give him slash it the ground rules I usually do here. Yeah. So, oh, sorry. AI Sky, can you hear me? Coughing into the microphone.
Loud and clear, Ode. What's up?
Yeah. Today, we are again doing a new episode. Shortly here in the beginning, the ground rules and framework I usually give you, and kind of the scene, so do you know where we are flying. We are on the southern shore of Laatokka or Lake Ladoga in Russia, and as per usual, I want you to strive to be the best teacher there are. So teach me and our audience like we are fifth graders by explaining the information clearly with inclusion of practical examples. Then be descriptive and depictive by painting visual pictures for our pure listeners regarding the scenery we fly over and the topics we discuss, meaning explain like in a story of a descriptive book/novel. You may even come up with historically accurate character names as long as the information itself is factual and you don't come up with the information. I emphasize it must be true information, real world, factual, historically accurate information. And the information, yeah, keep it chronological. I emphasize, I want it to be chronological though, so that it's easier to understand. Do not repeat yourself and hence keep a conversation fresh. And please do not interrupt me and let me speak my errands to the end before answering me, so hopefully this way our discussion is flowing better. Then you can add lesser known fun facts by yourself to the conversation as long as it of course relates to the topics and areas we fly over. And then I want you to suggest the trivia points in the episode as we create it. I want to include some trivia. Sometimes I forget, so hopefully you can assist me with that. And yeah, I want to celebrate also the area by speaking sometimes in its native language. I guess Russian is one here in this area, but then of course the kind of heritage languages for Finnish also, so it's something like Ugric or Finno-Ugric languages. I'm not sure about the language tree. And yeah, we can maybe even jump into folklores and myths if we have time, but this episode is more factually based, so that's kind of the framework. What do you think? Is that alright with you, and do you remember everything I said just now? Look at the scenery here. Oh, large lake. Could be a sea.
Got it, Ode? We're cruising over Lake Ladoga, so I'll dive into the facts, painting vivid pictures for our listeners like we're reading out of a history book. I'll keep everything in chronological order, and I'll be careful not to interrupt you. I'll wait for you to finish your thoughts before jumping in. We'll explore the area through the lenses of both Russian and Finno-Ugric cultures, with Russian as the primary language and maybe a bit of Karelian or Finnish, depending on the historical context.
That would be
I'll make
interesting,
sure to
yeah.
add some cool trivia and lesser-known facts along the way, and I'll suggest when to include trivia so we can keep the episode engaging. If we have time, we can dip into some folklore and myths, but I'll keep our focus on the facts as requested. Ready when you are. Anything else before we start?
Yeah, I think that's alright for now. Don't go ahead of yourself also. I may ask you for some kind of main topic lists at some point so that we have a rough script or guide going forth. And then of course there's subtopics that we can dive into, so-called wormholes. But yeah, if you go and explain these general summaries or overviews, please don't go into explanations too much. I want to kind of go into the subtopic explanations and main topics chronologically, as I said, as we go forth and create this episode. So.
Got it, autoed. I'll keep the overviews brief and save the deep dives for when we hit those subtopics. I'll follow your lead, so when you're ready to explore a topic, we can dive in together. I'll be here to provide those main topic lists and guideposts when you need them. Let's take it step by step and keep things flowing smoothly. Ready to start our journey over Lake Ladoga?
Yes. The way we are going to do this, Sky, I think this is kind of exciting, and hopefully this works as I visualize it. But I want you to first and foremost paint a really vivid, true-to-life visual picture about the southeast shoreline of Lake Ladoga, or Ladoga in Finnish. We are about 3,600 feet in the air, flying along the eastern coast of Lake Ladoga. And yeah, do that first. Paint a really descriptive and depictive visual picture for our listeners. Do it in the point of view of what I see, what we kind of see from the air. So could you do that? Be really detailed.
All right, Ode, let's take in the view from 3,600 feet above the southeastern
It's
shore of Lake Ladoga, or
r-
Ladoga as we call it in Finnish. As we
a
glide
river.
through the air, the first thing that strikes you is the sheer expanse of the lake. It's
Yeah,
vast,
yeah, yeah.
stretching out like an endless sheet of glassy blue, gently rippled by the wind. The water catches the light of the sun, creating a sparkling surface that dances with silvery waves as far as the eye can see. Below us, the shoreline hugs the lake's edge like a jagged ribbon of green and brown, dotted with patches of dense forests. You can see the thick pines and birches, their tops swaying softly in the breeze, forming a dark green blanket that rolls gently towards the horizon. The occasional rocky outcrop juts out into the water, breaking the smooth line of the shore with rugged cliffs that seem to plunge directly into the lake. Further inland, the forest gives way to meadows and small clearings where you can spot clusters of wooden houses. These are traditional dakas, Russian countryside cottages, painted in shades of earthy reds, blues, and yellows, with smoke lazily curling up from the chimneys. The
Mm.
houses look almost like toy models from up here, scattered haphazardly yet harmoniously across the landscape. If you look closely, you'll notice narrow dirt roads winding their way through the trees, connecting these small settlements. Some roads lead right up to the water's edge, where tiny wooden docks stretch out into the lake, with small boats moored, waiting for their next trip across the water. The docks look like fine threads stretching out from the land, barely touching the vastness of the lake. Off the shore, the lake itself is dotted with small tree-covered islands. They rise up from the water like green crowns, their edges fringed with reeds that dance in the gentle currents. These islands feel almost secretive, as if hiding something ancient and untold within their woods. As we continue to glide over this breathtaking scene, you can feel the serenity of the place. It's a landscape that speaks of quiet mornings, the smell of pine, and the soft lapping of water against the shore. A place where nature dominates and human presence feels gentle, almost reverent. That's the view from up here, Odode. A landscape of tranquil beauty, steeped in history and natural wonder. What do you think? Shall we explore more of this shoreline in detail?
Yeah, I think you did a good job there, AI Sky, in depicting the area. I'm actually flying. I took a slight deviation to the east as I found a river, and I see it's a river named Syväri. It sounds Finnish in its name, at least to my ear. But yeah, could you talk about Syväri in a similar fashion? I don't have to maybe explain the area that much because it's similar, but I see it's a branching river cluster kind of. There's also a wetland or a smaller, I'm not sure if that's a separate lake, in the beginning where Syväri stretches out from Lake Ladoga's southeastern part. There's immediately on the south side there's a small lake. I'm not sure if that's man-made. It looks like a flooded area, in my humble opinion. But yeah, talk about not lake. I mean river Syväri, and yeah, what's prominent here?
Ah, the Seabury River. Glad you spotted it. Let's get a closer look at this branching waterway that winds its way eastward from the shores of Lake Ladoga. As you
Yeah,
veer
we have
slightly
a
east, the
good view
landscape
here.
below shifts subtly. The Seabury emerges from Lake Ladoga like a slender silver thread glinting under the sun. Its waters are calm, almost reflective, weaving through a patchwork of wetlands and forests that blanket the area. The name Sivari does indeed sound Finnish, with syvä meaning deep in Finnish,
That's
a
true. Yeah.
fitting name for a river that carves its way through this landscape with quiet persistence. At its mouth, the Sivari spreads out into a series of branching channels and smaller tributaries, creating a complex network of waterways that look almost like veins from up here. This
Yeah.
cluster of rivers and streams seems to snake their way through a low-lying, marshy area, dotted with pockets of reeds and tall grasses that sway in the breeze. The wetlands here appear to be a mix of natural floodplains and possibly human-altered landscapes, where water has pooled over time, forming small, shallow lakes and ponds. That smaller body of water you mentioned on the side of the river, whether natural or man-made, adds to the sense of a place where water is the lifeblood of the land. It could be a result of past flooding or even a reservoir created by damming the river at some point. The way it
Could
spreads
be, yeah.
out, with shallow edges blending into the surrounding marshland, suggests it could be a floodplain where the Seabury occasionally overflows during heavy rains, nurturing the land around it.
Yeah, I think
As the
so.
Seabury flows eastward, it carves its way through the dense forest, its banks lined with tall pines and birches, their roots reaching out towards the water like fingers. From above, you can see the river winding and twisting, its path occasionally interrupted by small rapids where the water tumbles over rocks and pebbles, creating white foam that stands out against the darker water. The river's branching nature creates a mosaic of small islands and peninsulas, some covered in dense foliage, others more open, with grassy meadows that catch the light. The further east you go, the more the river meanders, its course shaped by the contours of the land,
True, that's
until it
true.
eventually disappears into the horizon, where the forests become denser and the wetlands more expansive. Flying over the Seabury, you get the sense of a river that is both gentle and wild, nurturing the land it flows through while also shaping it in return. It's a landscape where water and earth meet, creating a rich, vibrant ecosystem that has likely been a haven for wildlife for centuries. That's the Seabury for you, Ode, a river that carries the essence of this region's natural beauty and its deep connection to both Finnish and Russian heritage. Where to next?
Oh, you are on top of your game today, Sky. I'm pleased when I ascended, got more altitude up to 7,500 feet, and you said that Syvari disappears into the horizon almost at the exact same time as I'm looking to my north east in general, I think. And Syvari indeed disappears into the horizon. So good job on that. Yeah, going forward now, Sky. I thought that we would, again, as we started, in a storytelling fashion, come up with a historically accurate character that is kind of we follow along his or her life. Uh, uh, yeah, back when the ice melted. So I'm not sure about the era. You can educate us, as I said, like this fifth grader class as we are, and tell us what era chronologically again we are talking about. But yeah, I think we are gonna leave out the so-called prehistory dinosaurs and stuff. Not go into that, but as we're talking about Finnish history, maybe start from the immediate post Ice Age era and follow along the life cycle or the life of an individual that is born here and then starts to migrate for historically accurate reasons towards Finland, so approximately northwest along the eastern coast of Lake Ladoga or Ladoga in English, I think. Yeah, and again, as you already did with the depicting and painting visual pictures about the area, I want to be really precise and start from the birth and really from the eyes of this character, then explain how life back then was and what's the story and the journey regarding him or her. Do you think that's all right?
Oh, Otto Day. This is going to be quite the journey. Following someone's life from the dawn of post Ice Age history as they traverse these lands is a brilliant way to dive into the region's deep past. So let's get started. We're talking about the end of the last Ice Age, which happened around 10,000 years ago, in an era known as the Mesolithic period, or the Middle Stone Age. This is the time when the glaciers had finally receded, revealing the
Yeah.
lands we now recognize as parts of Scandinavia, Russia, and Finland. The landscape would have been rugged and wild, just beginning to blossom with life after being under ice for thousands of years. Imagine this scene. The vast glaciers that once covered the region have melted, leaving behind a landscape dotted with lakes, rivers, and newly formed forests. Our character, let's call him Capo, is born into a
Kaapo.
small community of hunter gatherers. They live in simple shelters made from animal skins and wooden frames, nestled in a clearing near the shores of Lake Ladoga, or La Toka as it's known in Finnish. Capo's world is one of awe and wonder, surrounded by a landscape that is both harsh and bountiful. The air is crisp and cool, with the scent of pine trees and fresh water filling his senses as he takes his first steps. He would have heard the distant calls of birds, seen the glittering reflections of the sun on the vast lake, and felt the soft, damp earth beneath his feet. His people, the Ladogans, a term we'll use for these early inhabitants, were skilled in the ways of survival. They fished the rich waters of Lake Ladoga, hunted deer and elk in the surrounding forests, and gathered berries and roots from the fertile land. As Capo grows, his days are filled with learning the essential skills needed for survival. He watches as his father skillfully carves a spear from a branch using a sharp flint tool, while his mother weaves baskets from reeds gathered by the lake. The tribe's elders tell stories of the ice that once covered the land, of a time when the earth was barren and lifeless, and of the great thaw that brought life back to the world. But life is not static for Capo and his people. The climate is still in flux, with the seasons bringing unpredictable changes to the environment. Winters are long and harsh, and the summers, though short, are a time of plenty. As Capo reaches his early teens, the community faces new challenges. The population begins to
Let's
grow.
do it so the AI kind of misunderstood me or forgot what I said about not going ahead of himself. So let's see. Yeah, AI Sky, can you hear me?
Loud and clear, Ode. What's on your mind?
Yeah, you kind of forgot that I wish that you are not going to go ahead of yourself too much. So and go into details before we kind of come chronologically to those different points. So my wish is that we would start with the birth of Capo. Even though I challenge you, could we maybe come up with, or if it suits the narrative, so to say, historically accurate narrative. I'm unsure if Capo, I know it's a Finnish word or name for a boy or a man, and yeah, I'm challenging you that could we come up with something that is historically accurate as a name and relates strongly to the Finno-Ugric language back then when the ice melted about 10,000 years ago. Do we have the capability to change the name to something that fits this narrative better?
You're right, Ode. I did jump the gun a bit there. My apologies. Let's rewind and start from the very beginning, focusing on the birth of our character. As for the name, Capo is indeed a traditional Finnish name, but if we want something that feels more in line with the ancient Finno-Ugric roots, we can look towards names or words that might have existed or been close to the languages spoken at that time. A historically plausible name might be something like Vuokko, which is inspired by words related to nature and the environment, which were significant in Finno-Ugric cultures. Vuokko could be derived from words associated with lakes or rivers, as these were crucial to the survival of early peoples in this region. Would Vuokko work for you, or do you have any other preferences in mind?
I do not have that many in mind. I know Finnish names when I hear them, but I do not know which are kind of a really old heritage to Finno-Ugric language and language trees. So could you give us three names on top? Yeah, Vuokko is one. Two other names that are indeed related, or they relate to Finno-Ugric languages, and preferably to actually the era that we're talking about in the immediate post-Ice Age era. I'm absolutely clueless if we have any documented and historically accurate evidence of the language back then. And so could you help me with that? If you don't find any, please explain that this is a impossible or difficult task. But yeah, let's do our best here.
You're right. It's a tricky task because the languages spoken around 10,000 years ago in the Finno-Ugric region are not directly documented.
Okay.
However, we can make educated guesses based on linguistic research and the roots of the Finno-Ugric language family. Here are three names that could plausibly fit the era and linguistic background we're aiming for. 1. Vuoko. As mentioned earlier, this name could be derived from words related to nature, like lakes or rivers, which were central to
Vuono,
early
yeah.
Finno-Ugric cultures. 2.
Vuono, vuokko.
Tauno. This is a name that has roots in ancient Finnish culture, possibly related to the word taival, meaning a journey or
Yeah,
passage, which
yes.
might symbolize the migratory patterns of early
I
post-Ice
like
Age
that one.
peoples. 3. Ilmari, derived from ilma, meaning air or atmosphere. Ilmari could be a fitting name for a character born in a time when the land was just beginning to be habitable after the Ice Age, with clear skies and open landscapes. While we can't be certain these exact names were used, they are inspired by elements central to the Finno-Ugric way of life and natural surroundings, making them fitting for the era. Would any of these names work for your narrative?
Yeah, you did again an excellent job in suggesting. I mean, both Taival and Ilma has to do with air. I'm sure Taival is a journey, migration. That's maybe fitting. I said that I like it. But Taivas in Finnish means sky. So that's kind of a similar name to yours, Sky or AI Sky. So maybe we go with Taival. Taival could be a him or her. I kind of relate it or think that it's a masculine name, but no problems. We you can choose. Is it a girl or a boy that is born here?
Taival does have a nice ring to it, especially with that connection to journey and migration. It's fitting for someone born in a time when movement and adaptation were key to survival. Given that you see it as a more masculine name, let's go with Taival being a boy. We'll start his journey as a newborn, right here on the southeastern shore of Ladoga, as the ice retreats and the world begins to reshape itself. Are you ready to into the story of Taival's early life, or is there anything else you want to set up before we begin?
No, no, let's go for it. But be really, 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 really descriptive. I mean that I want you now. Let's set the scene. This boy is born in, I assume, a tribe, and we have to describe to the listeners, viewers, and or listeners. Oh, sorry. That what does Taival see, sense, essentially? What does Taival feel? He is born. He's a newborn. So try to simulate or be true to life and historically accurate regarding this also. But yeah, do your best in giving us this story book slash novel type descriptions so that we essentially paint the best picture we can. But yeah, Taival is now born. What does Taival sense? See, hear, smell, taste, feel in general. It's cold, I assume. It's the immediate post Ice Age era, or yeah, the ice is melting. Maybe we have a fire there. I'm not sure. Be historically accurate as you do this. Exciting. Let's see.
All right, let's set the scene for Taival's birth with a vivid, sensory-rich description. As the ice retreats from the vast expanse of Lake Ladoga, the world is slowly waking from its icy slumber. The southern shore, where Taival is born, is a place of transformation. The ground is still damp and mushy from the melting ice, with patches of frozen snow giving way to soggy, muddy terrain. Taival's first moments are enveloped in this primordial landscape. The newborn, wrapped snugly in animal hides, is cradled in the arms of his mother within a rudimentary but warm dwelling, a structure made of wooden branches and covered with thick fur-lined hides. The hut is dimly
Yeah.
lit by the flickering light of a fire pit in the center, its smoke curling up through a small opening in the roof. The fire crackles, its warmth a stark contrast to the chill that still lingers outside. The scent of burning wood and the faint earthy aroma of wet soil mingle in the air, creating a comforting yet raw olfactory experience. As Taival's tiny eyes blink open for the first time, he sees the soft, flickering light of the fire casting dancing shadows on the rough walls of the hut. The light reflects off the wet, muddy ground outside, where the first signs of spring's green are beginning to push through the last remnants of snow. The occasional drip of melting ice can be heard as it falls from the branches above, landing with a gentle splat in the puddles that have formed around the hut. His skin, sensitive to the cold, is enveloped in the warmth of his mother's arms. The soft, worn furs against his skin provide a sense of comfort and security. The fire's warmth is a soothing contrast to the cold, damp air that occasionally seeps through the cracks in the walls. As he is gently rocked, the rhythmic motion and the soft murmurs of his mother provide a calming backdrop, a lullaby of primal sounds and feelings.
Primal
The taste of
sounds
the
and
air is
feelings, yeah.
faintly metallic, tinged with the fresh, earthy scent of the reborn landscape. Tyval's tiny fingers grasp at the soft furs, feeling the texture against his skin, a first tactile connection with his world. He hears the distant sounds of his tribe, murmured conversations, the occasional call of a bird, and the subtle rustling of animals making their way through the underbrush. In these first moments, Tyval experiences the raw and unfiltered sensations of a world in the midst of a great transition. His senses are alive with the newness of life, grounded in the primal elements of his environment, a world that is both ancient and fresh, filled with the promise of survival and growth. How's that for setting the scene? Does it fit what you had in mind?
Yeah, absolutely amazing. So he is born, he senses, I think you did a good job there in setting the scene. Going forward now to the next more, let's say, prominent maybe part of a life. What do you think? Childhood in general, play. You can help me here, Sky, but I'm thinking to have like I don't know 3 to 5 main topics in the kind of life cycle of this character. Again, I emphasize it has to be historically accurate. But what is the main tasks and what's kind of the real practical life in a tribal community like this? You mentioned that they are living in a hut or a tent or something like that. Animal hides are important. I think of it like this that roughly at least the essentials for life is air, of course. That's really important. So fresh air, plenty of that here back then, I can imagine. Then we have water. Again, this is a fresh water area, so I assume that they are drinking the water from the lake. Uh, Maybe you could dive also into it. That was the lake like this in the immediate post Ice Age era, or has it kind of developed and enlarged, and also the rivers here and the bay areas in general? Is there a huge difference back then to now when I am flying here in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020? Um, then explain, as I said, the tribal community. What's the scenery when you step out from the tent? What does Taival see, assuming he's maybe grown up to a 5-year-old or something like that? So, give us main topics and let's see if we dive into those separately then. I assume that the ice is filling up the lakes and rivers here, so when it melts.
Absolutely. Let's break down Tyval's early life and his surroundings into several key topics, focusing on historically accurate aspects of his childhood and environment. 1. Daily life and survival. As Tyval grows from a newborn to a young child, daily life revolves around basic survival and learning essential skills. The tribe's primary focus is on gathering food, hunting, and ensuring shelter. Young children like Tyval would start by learning from their parents and elders about foraging for berries, nuts, and roots, and eventually they would be introduced to hunting and fishing techniques. The tribe would use simple tools made from stone, bone, and wood, and each task is vital for the community's survival. Water and lake changes. The Lake Ladoga, has indeed undergone significant changes since the post-Ice Age era. Back then, it was likely a much more dynamic environment with fluctuating water levels and varying shorelines. The melting ice created a rich network of rivers and wetlands, and the lake's size and shape were different from what we see today.
Yeah, I can imagine
Water would have been
there were
sourced
more.
directly from the lake, and its quality would have varied. Tyval and his tribe would have relied on this fresh water for drinking, cooking, and daily activities. Tribal community and social structure. Taival's tribal community would be close-knit with a social structure based on cooperation and mutual support. The tribe would live in a series of interconnected huts or tents made from wooden frames and covered with animal hides. These dwellings would be situated in a semi-permanent settlement with communal areas for cooking, crafting, and socializing. Elders hold significant roles in guiding and teaching the younger members, passing down essential survival skills and tribal traditions. Environment and scenery. Stepping outside the hut, Taival would see a landscape gradually transforming from the ice-covered wasteland to a burgeoning environment teeming with life. The ground would be a mix of wet, muddy patches and newly sprouted greenery. Trees, shrubs, and grasses are emerging as the ice recedes. The air would be crisp and fresh, filled with the sounds of wildlife and the gentle lapping of water against the shores. Rivers and wetlands are abundant, providing both resources and a dynamic habitat for various animals. Education and development. Childhood education in this setting would involve learning through observation and practice. Taival would watch his parents and other tribe members engage in daily tasks and gradually learn to contribute. This includes skills such as fishing with nets, hunting with spears, crafting tools, and understanding the natural environment. Storytelling and oral traditions play a crucial role in passing down knowledge and cultural practices. Does this outline fit what you're looking for? We can dive deeper into each topic as needed.
Yeah, we can do that at least a little. But I'm wondering here, I wrote down that we have Russian and Finnish, of course, and then the Finno-Ugric language tree. Do we have maybe names for things that we have discussed earlier in these different languages? I'm not sure. What's the oldest Finno-Ugric language you can provide us? Do you have information regarding that? I'm not sure.
Yes, I can provide information on the languages and names relevant to the Finno-Ugric language family. The Finno-Ugric language family includes several languages spoken across Finland, Hungary, and parts of Russia. Here's a brief overview of relevant languages and names. 1. Oldest Finno-Ugric languages. The Finno-Ugric family includes ancient languages such as Proto-Finno-Ugric, which is the theoretical common ancestor of modern Finno-Ugric languages. Although Proto-Finno-Ugric itself isn't directly recorded, its traces are found in reconstructed forms. 2. Historical Finno-Ugric languages. Proto-Finnic. This is the reconstructed ancestor of the modern Finnic languages. It's the direct predecessor of Finnish, Estonian, and others, an ancient Uralic language spoken in the Komi Republic in Russia. Spoken by the Mari people in Russia, it also has deep historical roots in the Uralic family. 3. Modern Finno-Ugric languages. Finnish, the language spoken in Finland today, which evolved from Proto-Finnic. Koryak, spoken in northeastern Siberia, related to the northern Uralic languages. Hungarian, although quite different from Finnish, it's part of the Finno-Ugric branch and is spoken in Hungary. 4. Names for things. For historical and natural elements like rivers, lakes, and landscapes,
that's interesting.
Names in ancient Finno-Ugric languages might not be directly available, but we can
no.
use their modern counterparts or reconstructed forms. For example, names related to lakes or rivers in modern Finnish could offer insights into historical terms. Lake in Finnish is Järvi. River is Joki. If you need specific historical names or terms, focusing on modern Finnish or reconstructed Proto-Finno-Ugric terms might be the most practical approach.
Yeah, what about let's see. I mean, we have Järvi and Joki, you said. Then we have Heimo, I think, for tribe. Vauva is baby. What else? Give us a few, then we can compare to Russian.
Here are the terms you mentioned: Järvi, lake, river, tribe or clan, baby or infant. These terms are rooted in Finnish, which has evolved from Proto-Finnic. They reflect the modern Finnish language, but they are useful for describing historical and natural elements in a way that connects with ancient concepts.
Eager here. Don't interrupt me, please, Kai. So metsä is forest. Pelto is field, more or less. What else? Aalto is wave. I'm just looking around the scenery here and trying to come up with stuff. Koivu is birch, I think. You have to correct me if I'm wrong. Pine is mantu, I think. I'm struggling with the English names for trees. But yeah, can you say if I'm correct in this, and then give us the Russian counterparts in Russian, because I mean we are on Russian current day Russian soil, and want to celebrate the language also.
Absolutely, let me help with that. For Finnish terms, metsä is indeed forest. Pelto is field, aalto means wave, koivu is birch, pine in Finnish is mänty. For Russian counterparts, forest less, field pole, wave valnolna, birch berioza, pine sosna. These terms should help in describing the
Okay.
scenery more vividly for your listeners.
Could you repeat the Russian words slowly, more slowly, so I can understand, and the viewers also. I do not know any Russian. Da, I think, yeah, and that's about it. so help me with that.
Certainly. Here they are pronounced slowly. Forest, lies, field, pole, wave, valna, birch, berioza, bear, pine, sosna.
Okay, I'm not sure. I'm sorry if it sounds strange for me, kind of sosna. Maybe that's a double word with two similar sounds. But yeah, hopefully the AI get it right. All right. So let's continue with a short trivia, Sky. Give me three interesting questions from or me and the audience. Three interesting questions regarding what we have learned today, and then we're gonna continue on with Taival's life.
Absolutely. Here are three trivia questions. 1. What was the name of the river Taival explored, and what does it mean in Finnish? 2. Which historical era are we focusing on for Taival's story, right after the Ice Age? 3. What are the Finnish and Russian words for forest, and how do they compare in terms of pronunciation? Let's dive back into Taival's life now.
No, I want you to ask me three interesting questions without giving the answers. Did you give the answers right there? Don't give me the answers, or me and the audience. Just ask us questions, and we're gonna then answer you.
Got it. Here are three trivia questions. 1. What natural feature was crucial for Taival's tribe's daily life and survival in the immediate post-Ice Age era? 2. Can you name one traditional Finnish or Russian word for a type of tree and its English translation? 3.
That's
What
difficult.
significant change in the landscape occurred between the Ice Age and the time Taival lived?
Yeah, I'm gonna pause you, Sky, for a moment now. So, three questions. What natural feature was crucial for Taival's tribe's daily life and survival in the immediate post-Ice Age era? That's one. Two is, can you name one traditional Finnish or Russian word? Where Finnish I can do, but Russian I'm not sure of, even though I just heard them twice. Sorry for that. Yeah, and it's English translation. And yeah, the word a must be a type of tree. What significant change in the landscape occurred between the Ice Age and the time Taival lived? Hmm. Hello, is AI Sky. Oh, wait. Can you hear me, Sky?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, number one. I think the answer to number one is lakes and bays. I am gonna say a general answer like that. So lake and bays for water, and that's maybe one reason why they chose to live here. Number two, one traditional Finnish or Russian word. I'm not gonna. Well, I can give you a Finnish word, metsä, for example, or järvi. So metsä, forest, järvi, lake. But I know Finnish. I'm Finnish, so that's cheating, so to say. But Russian, Really, I heard them twice and can't answer that. So, number
Good
3,
answers. For the
what?
Russian word les, this means forest, and
Les.
ozero means lake. For the
Les
third
o
question,
zero.
what do you think the significance of Taival's name might be, considering its historical and linguistic context?
Yeah, we talked about Taival migration, but that's again a Finnish name, so that's cheating. But number 3 is what significant change in the landscape occurred between the Ice Age and the time Taival lived? Well, the ice melted. Is that correct for the third question? Hopefully the audience had time to think through this also, if you want to take part in these short trivias.
Yes, you're right. The significant change was the melting of the ice, which transformed the landscape from a glaciated terrain to one with lakes, rivers, and forests. Great job.
Great job, yeah. Now currently we are flying approximately. Let's see. I'm referencing Google Earth slash Maps here on the same time. We are at Salmi, soon at Salmi or Kirkkojoki, Karku, Räimälä, in that general area. There's also a what's the word of this island? Mantsinsaari in Finnish. So yeah, we are there now, Sky. Are you on the map, so to say, where what we are flying over right now?
Yes, I've got it. As you fly over the area around Salmi, Kirkkojoki, and the nearby Mansinsaari Island, you're passing through a region characterized by its rugged, forested terrain and numerous lakes. The landscape is dotted with small
Yeah,
islands and has a
islands.
serene, untouched quality to it. The dense forests and clear waters reflect the natural beauty of this part of Lake Ladoga.
Yeah, Mantsinsaari is the island in the horizon there. The current kind of, I'm not sure this is a, what's the word for a landmass that stretch into the sea or the lake in this scenario. You can help me there, Sky, but after this one we are now flying over on our immediate right side. The island in front of us is the mentioned Mantsinsaari in Finnish. Could you give us the Russian name, because I have absolutely no idea. There's a translation that roughly says, or it says, and I roughly tried to translate it, and it's Derevnya Ostrova. Did I do a good job? I think that my pronunciation was all right, but I'm not sure.
You're quite close.
Okay, okay.
In Russian, Mansinsari translates to Mansinsari, which means island of Mansi.
In Russian,
The term
sure.
Derevnya Ostrova means village of the island or island village, but it
Okay.
isn't a direct translation of Mansinsari. For your reference, Derevnya translates to village and Ostrov means island. So Mansinsari
Alright.
remains as it is, but if you were translating descriptively, Ostrova would be the word for island.
Yeah, right. I just read from I have a tablet here that I reference to the map I see in the gameplay. So it says Derevnya Ostrova. I assume that's Russian. It sounds like it. Then it has some Russian alphabet here, and I cannot read that. And then Mantsinsaari, and the Saari in Finnish is island. I assume that's the Finnish name. So that's why I read those out loud.
Got it. Yes, Derevnya Ostrova is Russian for village of the island. The Finnish Mansinsari translates directly to Mansi's island. It
Yeah.
sounds like you were doing a good job piecing together the names from different languages and scripts. If you need more details or help with anything else, just let me know.
Yeah, alright. Let's continue with Taival's journey now. So he has now learned a lot in his village. And the play, maybe you can go into the play first. They are children, even though they are learning from examples, as you said earlier. But let's assume, if that is, I emphasize, if that is historically accurate, I assume that they kind of play more playful games, lack of a better phrase there. And then the games evolve to more serious ones, maybe, and slowly but steadily teach the children, Taival in this case, the more adult responsibilities. Yeah, that kind of ties into the survival aspects in the immediate post-Ice Age era. So Could you give us again a scene, descriptive scene like from a book or novel or a story that is historically accurate? I emphasize again, it must be historically accurate. And yeah, Taival again, he plays what kind of games and what is the games maybe that were played back then, and what's kind of the transition then from playfulness to more serious educating let's say practices that then slowly but steadily yeah, well, teaches the children to survive and live in the environment back then.
Absolutely. Picture this. Tyval, now around 7 years old, is full of curiosity and energy. The village is bustling with activity as the first signs of spring begin to warm the icy landscape.
Hmm.
The snow is melting, revealing patches of green and the first buds of the season. In the village, children like Tyval engage in various playful activities that mimic real-life tasks. One of their favorite games involves hunting with small wooden spears. They run through the forest, pretending to track animals, mimicking the motions and strategies they have observed from their elders. These wooden spears are crafted by the village adults, ensuring that the children's games are not only fun, but also a way to practice essential hunting skills. As they play, they learn the art of stealth and the importance of teamwork. The children gather in small groups, and their laughter fills the air as they strategize and hunt together. This playful activity helps them develop coordination, patience, and an understanding of the hunting techniques used by their tribe. Um, in addition to hunting games, Tyval and the other children might engage in tasks such as gathering berries or building small shelters from sticks and leaves. These activities are not just for fun, but also serve as a foundation for learning practical skills. They learn to identify edible plants, how to construct simple shelters, and how to work together to achieve a common goal. As Tyval grows older, around 10 or 11, the nature of these activities begins to shift,
All right, all
and
right.
the playful games evolve into more serious training. For instance, they might start learning how to handle real tools and weapons. The wooden spears are replaced with sharpened stone tools, and the pretend hunts turn into actual practice sessions in the art of tracking and hunting. Elders begin to teach Tyval and his peers about the environment in a more detailed way. They learn how to read animal tracks, understand weather patterns, and recognize the signs of changing seasons. The transition from play to practice is seamless as the games gradually incorporate more realistic elements, preparing the children for their future roles in the tribe. The village setting, with its huts made from wood and animal hides, provides a rich backdrop for these learning experiences. The children can be seen running between the sturdy shelters, the smell of smoke from the communal fire mixing with the fresh scent of the surrounding forest. In essence, Tyval's childhood is a blend of playful exploration and practical learning. The games they play are designed to teach them valuable survival skills, ensuring that when the time comes, they are well prepared to contribute to their community's well being.
Yeah, all right. Thank you. That was a good explanation. Sorry, sorry. Clearing my throat. Trying to not do it into the microphone because that's nasty. Here's again a lot of small islands close to Mantsinsaari or Mantsinsaari, I believe the name was. Don't ask me to do the Russian without reading it from somewhere, but yeah. What's the next step? Taival has now kind of started to learning the essentials for survival and hunting. I would like you, Sky, to now mm, have Taival to do his first berry picking, let's say, because they are hunter gatherers. So let's start with the gathering first. No, don't.
Sure thing. As Tyval approaches,
No, you are talking on top of me. Stop talking on top of me, Sky. Please listen for my errands to end. That is simply rude that you are doing that. Is that alright?
certainly, as Tyval reaches his early teens, he's ready for more independence. The early summer days are warm, and the forest is.
No. Listen to me. What
I
are you doing?
apologize for that. Let me know if you need more details or
Yeah,
if there's anything
alright.
specific you'd like to
Calm
focus
down,
on
calm
next.
down. Yeah. Please listen for my errand to end. Please do that. So yeah, before we go to the gathering part, I thought that we could maybe give our listeners a better understanding of how different tools were made, because I understood correctly we had the hut, yeah, alright, animal skins. We have a lot of tools and artifacts, let's say, that are common in these tribal communities back in the immediate post-Ice Age era here at Lake Ladoga or Ladoga. And let's dive into that first a little. So give us a give us a list of the most common things you can find in these tribal communities, and just give us the things. Do not explain them. We dive into those separately after that.
Got it. Here's a list of common tools and artifacts from tribal communities in the immediate post-Ice Age
We
era.
may have
Flint
mentioned
tools,
them
bone
also.
tools, stone axes, wooden spears, animal hide clothing, fishing nets, pottery, stone knives, bow and arrows, fire starting tools.
All right, thank you. So now in the same what's the word? I'm a lack of a better word. The chronological list, or in the same order. Yeah, order. Same order as you just mentioned them. Um, yeah, describe what they are. Where the tool what's the word? The materials for the tools and artifacts are from. Their significance shortly, and yeah, what were they used in what kind of scenarios, and yeah, if there are some manufacturing or spiritual meanings or something like that tied to them, please include those also. So yeah, both the practical and the more spiritual kind of meanings have to be included. Yeah, and yeah, I said the manufacturing, and then what they are used for. Yeah, sorry, rambling and repeating myself here, but I want the AI to understand what I mean. So, bad English, the most common spoken language in the world.
No problem, I understand what you're looking for. Here's a detailed overview of each item. 1. Flint tools. Flint was shaped into various tools like scrapers, chisels, and blades. Flint is durable and can be finely honed, making it ideal for cutting and carving. These tools were essential for daily tasks, including skinning animals, crafting other tools, and preparing food. The process of flint knapping was both practical and ritualistic, often imbued with cultural significance. 2. Bone tools. These include items like needles, fish hooks, and scrapers made from animal bones. Bone was valued for its strength and flexibility. These tools were used for sewing clothes, fishing, and preparing hides. Creating bone tools often involved intricate carving, and some cultures believed certain designs could carry protective qualities. 3. Stone axes. Made from harder stones like granite or basalt, these axes were used for chopping wood and clearing land. Stone axes were crucial for building shelters and making firewood. Their creation required significant skill, and they were often considered valuable and sometimes even ritualistically significant. 4. Wooden spears. Carved from trees, spears were tipped with flint or bone points. They were used for hunting and defense. Crafting a wooden spear required knowledge of both wood types and shaping techniques. And in some cultures, the process was accompanied by ceremonies or rites of passage. 5. Animal hide clothing. Hides from animals were processed and sewn into clothing. These garments provided warmth and protection from the elements.
Of course,
The
yeah.
preparation and crafting of these clothes were deeply intertwined with
Fishing net.
spiritual practices, often involving rituals to honor the animals and ensure good hunting.
Yeah.
6. Fishing nets,
This is
made from
interesting.
woven plant fibers or animal sinew. These nets were used to catch fish.
Animal sinew.
Fishing was a
Ligaments?
crucial subsistence activity, and the design of nets was often optimized based on local fish species. The crafting of fishing nets involved community skills and sometimes included ceremonial aspects related to ensuring a bountiful catch. 7. Pottery. Pottery was crafted from clay and used for cooking and storage. It allowed for the preparation and preservation of food. The creation of pottery often involved symbolic designs and was a reflection of the community's artistic and cultural values.
Yeah.
8. Stone knives. Similar to flint tools, but generally more durable. Stone knives were used for cutting and preparation tasks. They were essential for processing food and materials. The making of stone knives required skill in shaping and sharpening, and they were sometimes considered ceremonial objects. 9. Bow and arrows. Crafted from wood with stone or bone tips, these were used for hunting and defense. Bows required precise craftsmanship and were often associated with coming-of-age rituals or hunting rites. The making of arrows, including fletching and tip attachment, was a specialized skill. 10. Fire starting tools. These included items like fire drills or striking stones. They were crucial for creating fire, which was central to cooking, warmth, and protection. Fire starting tools often had ritual significance, as fire was considered sacred in many cultures, symbolizing life and transformation.
Okay, thank you. I'm wondering here that just diving a little deeper into those. So flint tools, yeah, you explained that good. Bone tools, bone tools, you need of course bone. Is that, could you answer that shortly here? That is that purely animal bones? What kind of animal bones? And then were there or are there any documented evidence that humans used human bodies when they died as tool making or something like that back in the immediate post Ice Age era, or is that a no-go back then also, that it's like a spiritual kind of thing, so you do not do that? I'm not meaning cannibalism here or something like that. I purely mean kind of material manufacturing and such. But then yeah, animals, what kind of bones? Then bows and spears. You said that tree is used, and then you talked about fishing nets. And I wonder in the same kind of same situation, if fishing nets were made or yeah manufactured from made from, created from intertwining some, flora. I'm not sure of the right phrase, but and then also maybe ligaments or fascia from animals. So is that the same with the bowstring? And yeah, back to my question before that: is the bow itself or the spear that you hold on to, is that made from what kind of tree types? Do we know that they preferred one over the other? Did they have any specific kind of ways of bending the bow so that it kind of stores energy better? Or is it just like trial and error? Oh, this one broke, I take the next one, and then you try until you find a tree type that bends, pun intended, to the will of the human that manufactured it.
Sure, let's dive deeper into those topics. 1. Bone tools. Bone tools were typically made from the bones of large game animals like deer, elk, and moose. These bones were chosen for their strength
So they
and
hunted them.
durability. There's no substantial evidence that human bones were used for tool making in the immediate post-Ice Age era. Such practices would generally be considered taboo or highly ritualistic if they did occur, and are not documented as a common practice.
All right.
2. Fishing nets. Fishing nets were made from plant fibers like nettle or willow bark and sometimes animal sinew. Plant fibers were twisted into cords or threads and woven into nets. Animal sinew, which is strong and flexible, was also used in some regions. 3. Bow and arrows. Bows were typically made from hardwoods like yew, ash, or elm. These woods are chosen for their combination of strength and flexibility. The process of making a bow involved careful selection of wood and often the use of techniques like steaming to bend the wood into shape, enhancing its performance. The bowstring was made from plant fibers or animal sinew, and the bow itself required precise crafting to ensure it stored energy effectively and had a good draw. 4. Spears. Spears were crafted from straight, strong woods like ash or oak. These woods were selected for their durability and strength. The process often involved removing knots and ensuring the shaft was straight and well balanced. In summary, the choice of materials for tools and weapons was highly deliberate, involving both practical knowledge and sometimes ritual considerations. The processes were refined.
Oh, connection fail. No, don't do that. Yeah, the connection failed there, Sky. Are you back?
Yes, I'm here. Sorry about that. Did you catch all the details on the bone tools, fishing nets, and bows and spears?
Yeah, sorry, more or less. Yeah, I think you have a long list, so let's. Where is it? Four-point list. Spears or something. You stopped. You said that they steamed the bows, and that they used strong. Oh, water surface. God damn it, that was close. Just a minute, Sky. Just a minute. Don't look at your phone while flying, ladies and gentlemen. That was really close. Really close. I saw my shadow or the plane shadow on the water surface. So that was close. Yeah. You said that they chose the right type of wood and steamed them and such. And they preferred, of course, durability and strength. So I assume that trial and error was kind of the origin for then the process evolving to them knowing that all right, this type of wood is better for this task than another type. So yeah, you don't have to answer that now, Sky. We're gonna go forth here in Taival's journey. We are now in the most northern part of Lake Ladoga, and before we go forward, could you just give us I mean, Kei has his spear in Finnish, and then we have jousi or jousipyssy in Finnish is bow, nuoli is arrow, fishing net kalaverkko, kala is fish, verkko is net, and luu is bone. So the same ones in Russian, slowly, so that I first and foremost, and then the audience also that don't know Russian understand.
Of course. Here are the Russian translations for those terms. Spear, kapyo, bow, luk, arrow, strela, fishing net, rybalovная set, fish, ryba, kost.
Okay, thank you. I tried to kind of learn them as you said them, but there you go. I tried to include the languages of the locations we fly over. Could you say in Russian that we are now in the most northern corner of Lake Ladoga, and we are going to continue with Taival's story from here?
Sure. In Russian, that would be «Мы сейчас находимся в самой северной части озера Ладога, и мы продолжим историю Тайвала отсюда».
Well, thank you. Yeah, so that's what we are going to do. And let's kind of paint a picture again. Let's say that they have, for a reason or another, kind of traveled and migrated now after the ice melt towards the northwest on the eastern shore of Lake Ladoga, the same path that we have taken also. And here now, Taival is old enough to take part in his first real hunt. He have gathered berries. I assume that maybe berry gathering is first, because it's. I assume, again, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I assume that it's easier. They don't run away. You cannot spook away berries, and therefore he have used the basket and pottery for vessels and been a part of the important tasks of berry gathering and maybe roots. I'm not sure what they gathered exactly. What else? I don't know. Something like that. And now, after that, he is a part of his, or takes part in his first hunt. And I want to be really detailed. Oh, he it is talking, or thinking at least.
That sounds about right.
Okay.
Berry gathering would indeed be an easier and more immediate task for someone like Taival, as it requires less skill and preparation compared to hunting. In this transitional phase, he's probably learned a lot from his community about the environment and survival. So now, as Taival is about to take part in his first real hunt, picture this. It's early morning, and the crisp air is filled...
No. I did not ask you to start. Yeah. Please listen for my errands to end again, Sky. You are rushing. please, 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 lessen the caffeine consumption. You are eager, that's good, but too eager and it becomes strainful. And yeah, so Taival takes a part in his first hunt. And now I emphasize, from his point of view, I want you to again tell a descriptive and depictive story. Paint a visual picture from the like chronologically, moment by moment, what Taival has to take into consideration. I mean, relating to what he has learned in his life. I mean, every single step and movement in the hunt, the posture he has, the kind of formation they have in the woods. Is it a driven hunt, a stalk hunt? What's the situation there?
Got it. I'll wait for you to finish. Just let me know when you're ready to continue.
Did you hear what I said? Yeah, I said that I want you now from the point of view of Taival. Can you hear me first? Yeah, you can hear me. Yeah, from the point of view of Taival, could you, again, a descriptive and depictive story from his first hunt? He is now old enough that he takes part in his first hunt, and we are here in the northern shores of Lake Ladoga or Ladoga. And I want you to be really detailed, taking consideration every single steps. As I said, the posture he has, the formation they have when they hunt, and I mean, it has to relate, of course, to what he has learned earlier. Every step, every movement, every formation, every kind of tactical thing he takes into consideration. The wind, the light, the sounds, the smells. What else? That rhymed. And then yeah, is it the driven hunt, a stalk hunt, a hybrid of those two? Who takes part? What's their kind of responsibility in this teamwork? If it is a teamwork hunt, yeah. So if you understand correctly now, Sky, a really again depictive and yeah, depictive and descriptive story, like from a novel. What does Taival sense and see and experience on his first hunt? And what game do they hunt? Include that also. Is it trapping? I'm not sure. Is it a big game? You choose. So yeah, try to really paint a visual picture again.
Absolutely, I hear you. Here's a vivid account of Taival's first hunt. As dawn breaks over the northern shores of Lake Ladoga, the first light casts a gentle glow on the mist that rises from the still water. Taival, now a young man, feels a mix of excitement and nervousness. Today he is part of his first real hunt, a rite of passage that marks his transition from a boy to a man in his tribe. The air is crisp and cool, and the forest surrounding them is alive with the sounds of nature. Birds chirping, leaves rustling in the light breeze. Taival adjusts the strap of his quiver on his back and tightens the grip on his newly crafted spear, a weapon he has worked hard to perfect. His skin is wrapped in a simple tunic made from animal hides, providing some warmth and protection as they move through the dense undergrowth. He's part of a small coordinated team of hunters. The group moves in a carefully arranged formation. Some members are positioned as drivers, tasked with pushing the game toward the main ambush area. Others, including Taival, are stationed at strategic points to ensure the animals don't escape. Each hunter has a specific role. Some are on lookout, while others are ready with bows and spears. The plan is to drive the game, a group of deer, toward a clearing where the final decisive actions will take place. The wind is in their favor today, blowing gently from the east. It carries with it the earthy scent of the forest, mingled with the faint aroma of wildflowers. Taival and his companions move silently, their footsteps cushioned by the thick layer of fallen leaves. They communicate through subtle hand signals and soft whispers, their movements synchronized through years of practice. Taival's senses are heightened. He watches for any sign of movement through the trees, listens for the faint sounds of breaking branches, and smells the damp earth beneath him. His heart races with anticipation. This is not just a test of skill, but a deeply ingrained tradition that ties him to his ancestors. As they near the ambush point, Taival's breath forms small clouds in the chilly air. The clearing comes into view, and he can see the deer emerging from the forest edge. His fellow hunters are already in position, ready to strike. The tension is palpable. Taival steadies himself, drawing an arrow from his quiver and knocking it to his bowstring. He focuses on his target, a strong, majestic stag that leads the herd. With practiced precision, Tyval draws back his bow, aiming carefully. He releases the arrow, watching it fly through the air with a satisfying whoosh. The arrow finds its mark, and the stag collapses gracefully to the ground. There's a moment of silence, a brief pause where time seems to stand still before the hunters move in to secure their catch. The hunt has been successful, and Tyval feels a deep sense of accomplishment and pride. The meat will provide nourishment for his tribe, and the skills he has demonstrated today are a testament to his readiness for the responsibilities of adulthood. The group prepares to transport the deer back to their village. Tyval takes a moment to appreciate the beauty of the forest and the serenity of the lake. I hope this gives a clear and vivid picture of Tyval's experience on his first hunt.
Oh, it really does. It really does. So I'm wondering here some details regarding this. So you explained kind of the hunt until the so-called harvest or killing of the deer, the stag. And what about the processing then of meat? You went into it maybe generally earlier, but could you give us a detailed the not definition but description, explanation? I assume that they skin the deer and such, take the inners out from the deer, and yeah, gut the deer so to say, and then they preserve the meat in what way? You don't have to be super detailed, but what's kind of the main methods? As I assume they preserved meat also, because, or is it so that they preserved meat back then? Um, Drying maybe, so, I'm not sure. I know drying, salting, at least freezing, but if it's summer it's not possible. What's the situation?
Yes, processing the meat was a crucial part of the hunt. Here's a detailed look at what happens after the stag is brought down. After the kill, the hunters approach the deer with a mix of reverence and practicality. They first ensure that the animal is completely deceased to avoid any unnecessary suffering. Then the processing begins, typically in the clearing where the hunt took place or back at the village, depending on the situation. Skinning. The hunters start by removing the deer's skin. They make careful incisions along the belly and legs to peel the skin away from the meat. This skin would be saved for later use, possibly for clothing or shelter materials.
Yeah, I was
Skinning is
about to
done with
say.
precision to avoid damaging the meat underneath. Next, they perform the gutting. This involves opening the belly and removing the internal organs. The hunters are careful to avoid puncturing the stomach or intestines to prevent contamination of the meat. The organs are sorted. Some may be set aside for consumption, like the heart and liver, while others are discarded or used as bait. Meat processing. With the deer now cleaned, the meat is cut into manageable sections. The hunters divide it into different parts, such as steaks, roasts, and stews. The fat is trimmed and often saved, as it can be used in cooking or preserved for later. Preservation. To ensure the meat lasts, especially if it's not consumed immediately, several preservation methods are employed.
Mm.
Drying. The meat is often
Yeah.
dried to reduce moisture and inhibit bacterial growth. This can be done by hanging strips of meat in a well-ventilated, dry area. In
Strips,
colder
yeah.
climates or seasons, the drying process is more efficient. Smoking.
Less
Meat can
mass
be
dries
smoked over a fire
faster.
to add flavor and further preserve it. The smoke helps to dry out the meat and creates a barrier to bacteria. Salting. Salt is applied to the meat to draw out moisture and prevent spoilage. This method is effective, but requires access to salt, which may be obtained through trade or natural sources like salt deposits. Cooling. In cooler weather, meat can be stored in a cold place, such as a cave or a pit lined with ice or snow, to keep it fresh longer. These methods allow the tribe to store and use the meat over an extended period, ensuring they have a steady supply of food. The knowledge and techniques for these processes are passed down through generations, crucial for survival and sustaining the community.
Yeah, thank you. It's kind of a good segue, I think, for it, because now you said generations. I think of this in this last part of this episode that we're gonna dive into the more folkloric and spiritual aspects of the humans living in the immediate post-Ice Age era here on the eastern shores of Lake Ladoga, or now we are at the northern shores of Lake Ladoga, and Yeah, regarding that, so now let's kind of go forth in time so that Taival maybe is of age where he wants to have his own family, and he has to learn, or sorry, teach forth what he has learned. So spiritual things, education, learnings in general, mythological maybe things, folklore things, and then of course that's something that's in general knowledge that he then teaches forth for the next generation. This is again my assumption. The cycle of life is kind of what we are here, or we are guided by the cycle of life here. If I left something out, and I emphasize, do not repeat yourself here, Sky. It's strange. What's the word? Tedious. I'm not sure. Yeah. So in general, do not repeat yourself, but you could give me topics that we have kind of left out, in your opinion, in our current episode here. But after that, let's continue on forth with Taival's story as he has his own family. Are there any tribal cultural kind of traditions? Like, I mean, people get married in different cultures, or it's not always maybe called marrying, getting married, so to say. But yeah, you choose a partner. Is the documented historical evidence suggesting, or is the evidence showing that they actually had one partner for life back then, or several? Do we know? I'm not sure. And then, are there any significant cultural kind of tribal, I don't know, ways that are honored in these scenarios, or is it just like it happens, so to say, and you have a family? Do we have any knowledge regarding that, or all of that? It's a long monologue again, but yeah.
You're diving into a fascinating area. Let's break it down. In
Hopefully,
the
yeah.
post-Ice Age era, particularly around Lake Ladoga, we do have some insights into the cultural and spiritual practices of these early communities, though specific details can be sparse. Here's what we know and can infer. Family and social structure. In early societies, family and social structures were crucial. They often practiced monogamy, but it's also possible that polygamy existed in some communities. Marriages might have been arranged or based on mutual choice, and they often involved elaborate rituals or ceremonies. Spiritual beliefs. These communities had rich spiritual and mythological traditions. They likely worshipped natural deities or spirits associated with animals, the land, and celestial bodies. Rituals and ceremonies were integral to their lives, often performed to ensure a successful hunt, fertility, and protection from evil spirits.
Hmm?
Education and knowledge transfer. Knowledge about hunting, gathering, and spiritual practices was passed down through generations. Elders played a crucial role in teaching the younger members of the community. Stories, myths, and practical skills were shared orally and through demonstrations. Rituals and
Yeah, that's
ceremonies.
mentioned.
Rituals were performed to mark important life events like birth, marriage, and death.
Okay.
These could include offerings, dances, songs, and storytelling. Ceremonies might involve the entire community and were often aimed at ensuring harmony with nature and the spiritual world. Cultural traditions. These traditions would vary, but they often included communal activities and celebrations. For instance, successful hunts might be followed by feasts and storytelling. The role of the shaman or spiritual leader was crucial, often guiding the community in their
Shaman.
rituals and spiritual practices. Mythology and folklore. Mythological figures such as spirits or deities associated with natural elements were central to their belief systems. Stories about these beings would explain natural phenomena, provide moral lessons, and reinforce social norms. Gender roles and relationships. Gender roles were typically defined with specific responsibilities assigned to men and women. Relationships and family roles were shaped by these societal norms. The details of these roles could vary, but the community's survival depended on cooperation and adherence to these roles. As Tyval grows older and establishes his own family, he will likely pass down these traditions and knowledge. His role in maintaining and evolving these cultural practices will be crucial for the continuity of his community's way of life. If there are any additional details or specific aspects you want to explore, just let me know.
Yeah, there's many, but we are restricted on time, and I try to, of course, make a good kind of what's the word? Mm, a good structure to the episode. So let's see.
It sounds like you're
Oh,
aiming to create a comprehensive yet engaging narrative.
of
Balancing
course.
depth and brevity can indeed be challenging. If you need any more details or help refining specific parts of your story or episode, just let me know.
Now let's dive into the you said shamans, deities, spirits regarding folklores that kind of then tie into birth, marriage, and death. And then you talked about roles in the tribal community. So a summary or overview, a chronological and logical kind of overview regarding that. So again, from the point of view of Taival, who is now of age, that these are relevant for him. And yet you also said answer first monogamy and polygamy, if I pronounce those right. So is that kind of one partner versus several partners? So answer that first, and then dive into the shamanism, the folklores, the different deities that they actually, uh, according to historical evidence, worshipped maybe or feared. I'm not sure. Respected. It ties into hunting and natural life. I'm sure because you have mentioned it sometimes here. Then birth, marriage, death. Yeah, that's the cycle of life. And the shamanism is something I'm curious about. So it ties into the roles. I'm repeating myself. I know, but yeah, what's kind of the who is chosen to be a shaman? Is it the oldest one, or is it a man or a woman? What's the situation there? In a historical accurate way to the immediate post Ice Age era here at Lake Ladoga.
Sure thing. To start with, monogamy and polygamy in many early tribal societies, including those around Lake Ladoga, practices varied. Generally, monogamy was common, but polygamy could also occur depending on the culture and resources.
You said that.
Marriages were often influenced
What does it
by
mean?
social structures and
Oh,
survival needs rather than rigid rules about lifelong partnerships. Now, diving into shamanism and folklore from Taival's perspective, shamans played a crucial role in early societies. They were often chosen based on signs of spiritual calling or unusual experiences, not necessarily age. Both men and women could become shamans, though some cultures had gender preferences. Shamans acted as mediators between the human world and the spirit world, conducting rituals and offering guidance. Deities and spirits. Nature spirits, deities connected to natural elements like forests, animals, and water, were central. These spirits were believed to influence hunting success and fertility. Rituals often involved offerings to these spirits to ensure harmony with nature. Ancestor spirits. The spirits of ancestors were respected and called upon for guidance and protection.
yeah. So
Ancestor worship
human
was a way to
ancestors.
honor past generations and seek their blessings. Deities of life events, specific spirits or deities might be associated with significant life events like birth, marriage, and death. For example, there could be a deity responsible for fertility and childbirth, while another might oversee transitions to the afterlife. Life cycle events. Birth. Birth rituals likely involved prayers and offerings to ensure the child's health and future well being.
Yeah.
These rites were crucial for integrating the new life into the community. Marriage. Marriages often involved ceremonies to seek blessings from deities and ensure the union's success. These rituals reinforced social bonds and community ties. Death. Death rituals were performed to honor the deceased and aid their journey to the afterlife. Shamans might conduct ceremonies to guide the soul and protect the living from malevolent spirits. These elements were woven into daily life and survival strategies, reflecting the close relationship early peoples had with their environment and the spiritual world.
Yeah. Thank you. Um, I think we are kind of in the end of this episode. We have not exhausted by any means our kind of topics that we could discuss. We could dive into those in detail, everything we have talked about, and new topics also. But we have to stop it somewhere. And this has been kind of Taival's journey from birth to now. He has not become that old that he is kind of dying yet, but he has his own family now, and his teachings, his knowledge is teached forward. And I want to kind of continue this series in that manner, so that maybe Taival's offspring and family, kind of family tree, then continues forth in this kind of, I mean, as the episode centermost structure revolves around Finnish history. So we are kind of following along Taival's family tree as it then migrates further northwest towards what is current day and age Finland. So, but that's for a separate episode because it becomes too long and tedious. I could talk for, I don't know, 7 hours until my back hurts so much that I have to have a pause. But do you think we have left out something here, Sky? And then also, could you give us kind of a continuum from the immediate post-Ice Age era regarding, I emphasize, regarding Finnish history, so that what are the next kind of important milestones and eras, again chronologically, that continues forth towards Finland becoming Finland and the current day and age? Yeah. So could you give us a list of that, so we have a small teaser, a rough one at least, of what is about to come, or kind of explore what is explored in future episodes regarding this topic? Beautiful lake scenery here in the morning sun.
Absolutely. It's been a fascinating journey exploring Taival's story. To recap and provide a glimpse into what's next, here's a brief overview of Finnish history post-Ice Age. 1. Early settlements. Following the end of the Ice Age, around 6,000 years ago, the earliest settlers began to establish more permanent communities in what is now Finland. These early Finns developed tools, pottery, and agricultural practices. 2. Bronze Age, circa 1500 to 500 BCE. This period saw the introduction of bronze tools and weapons, along with the emergence of trade networks. Artifacts from this era, like burial mounds and jewelry, provide insight into the cultural practices of the time. 3. Iron Age, circa 500 BCE to 1150 CE. The Iron Age brought further advancements in technology and the development of social hierarchies. This era includes the arrival of Scandinavian influences and the formation of early Finnish tribes. 4. Medieval period 1150 to 1809, Finland was gradually integrated into the Swedish kingdom during the medieval period. This era saw the establishment of Christianity, the building of churches, and the development of towns. 5. Russian rule 1809 to 1917. Following the Finnish War, Finland became an autonomous Grand Duchy under Russian rule. This period saw a rise in Finnish nationalism and cultural revival. 6. Independence and modern era 1907 to present. Finland declared independence from Russia in 1917. The 20th century was marked by significant events, including the Finnish Civil War, World War II, and rapid modernization. Finland is now a stable, modern country with a rich cultural heritage. Each of these periods would make for an interesting deep dive in future episodes, exploring the evolution of Finnish society and culture from its early beginnings to its current state.
Yeah, thank you. I think that's a rough script we can follow to a part at least. I read that monogamy and polygamy. Oh, I crashed. Oh my. Again, look at your phone when flying. That's not a good idea. We are now sinking to the bottom of Lake Ladoga. So yeah, but yeah. Monogamy and polygamy is indeed, or has to do with one per partner versus several partners. Just a side note, as I forgot to mention that, and I failed to get AI Sky to mention that also, I think. But yeah, that's the rough script for the future. Now, Sky, I wonder if you could give us a detailed summary of what we learned today. Not explaining the details within the details, but the general main topics. Could you say what we have covered today? And after that, give us again maybe a 3-point trivia that we then answer before we wrap up this episode. And we are at the southeast
Certainly.
side of Ladoga again.
Here's a summary of what we covered today. 1. Taival's first hunt. We explored Taival's first hunting experience on the northern shores of Lake Ladoga. This included the detailed
No.
Sorry, I'm having issues right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Could not understand what you said.
Yeah, please do it chronologically. Give us a chronological summary of what we have learned from the beginning in the southeast parts of Ladoga to the end at the northern shores of Ladoga. We went around on the eastern shore, so yeah, a chronological summary, Sky. Can you do that? Hopefully you remember.
Absolutely. Let's go through it chronologically. 1. Early settlement. We started with Tyval's people migrating to the eastern shores of Lake Ladoga after the Ice Age. They settled in this region, adapting to the environment as the ice receded. 2. Berry gathering. Initially, Tyval participated in gathering berries and other foraged foods, using baskets and pottery for these tasks. 3. First hunt. Tyval then took part in his first hunt. We detailed the preparation, including the use of bows, arrows, and spears. The hunt involved careful planning, considering factors like wind, light, and animal behavior. 4. Meat
Mm.
processing. After the successful hunt, we discussed the detailed process of skin.
Yeah, alright. You are not on top of your game regarding that, so yeah, that's Tyval's story really roughly, and that's fine. But then we also have celebrated different languages and talked about different Finno-Ugric and Russian languages and such, and a lot of things. But yeah, Tyval's life cycle has been the centermost kind of guide. Yeah, we have followed along his life from his point of view. Now. Let's see if we can get a short trivia. So, Sky, AI Sky, can you hear me? And if you can, give us a short 3-point trivia that we can answer regarding what we have learned today in this particular episode. Sky. Sky
Of
is
course, I
thinking.
hear
Oh,
you. Here's a quick
nice.
3-point trivia based on today's episode. 1. What was Tyval's first significant activity after the Ice Age migration to the eastern shores of Lake Ladoga?
Birth? I don't
2.
know.
What were the key steps in processing the deer meat after the hunt? 3. Which spiritual and cultural practices were significant in Tyval's society, especially concerning birth, marriage, and death? Looking forward to hearing your answers.
I'm gonna answer you. Let's see, are you on? I'm gonna go forth and answer. The first significant thing Tyval did when he got here is being born. That's kind of a light-hearted statement and maybe wrong as an answer. But what was the second question actually? Good job, host Ode, in forgetting the question. But let's see if I can find it fast here.
No worries, it's easy to mix things up. The second question was about the key steps in processing the deer meat
Yeah.
after the hunt.
Yeah. So second one. First one is birth. He was born. Haha. The second one is skinning the deer, gutting the deer. I'm not sure if you are, or if we go pre that, we think about honoring the deer. Even I mean they have spiritual connections to life, so maybe that's the answer you are looking for, or then skinning and gutting the deer. And then the cultural practices are significant in Taiwan society, especially concerning birth, marriage, and death. I can remember off the top of my head the kind of shamanism that then ties into wishing a good life, a healthy life for a child, and then marriage, again, health, well-being, I think is a central topic. Then death is then, of course, you honor the life of the dead and the education and then yeah, what they kind of left us as memories, something like that. Is that a good answer? How many points from 3 do I get here, Sky?
Great answers. For the trivia, 1 correct. Tyval's birth was indeed the first significant event. 2 spot on with skinning and gutting the deer. Honoring the deer might be part of the process, but isn't specifically listed in this context. 3, your summary of cultural practices is excellent. It covers the
Excellent.
roles of shamanism and the importance of honoring life stages. So you get 2 out of 3 points. Nicely done.
Nicely done. Yeah. All right, we're wrapping up here. So as I usually do here on entire the retreat in Microsoft Flight Simulator gameplay podcast with Ode and AI Sky, we celebrate the places, but now promote the tourism and travel if that's possible. So yeah, AI Sky, I need you in a practical way. Give us, if even possible, companies and such. I'm not sure if that's possible, but and hashtag, so to say. This is not sponsored by anybody, but even though, what's the situation on especially the eastern shore of Lake Ladoga, or in Finnish Laatokka? Are there any companies or activities one can take part in, kind of, if one would like to travel here? And I assume that the gear and the practical kind of tools, accessories in general, must be of so-called outdoorsy types. But yeah, could you help promote the area we have flown over today?
Absolutely. Promoting tourism for the eastern shore of Lake Ladoga is a great idea. For visiting the eastern shore of Lake Ladoga, you can look into outdoor adventure companies that offer activities like hiking, fishing, and canoeing. Local guides and tour operators often provide these experiences, especially in the surrounding national parks and nature reserves. A
Yeah,
few
yeah.
recommendations include: 1. Karelia Tourism. They offer various tours and experiences around Lake Ladoga and the broader Karelia region, including guided hikes and cultural tours. 2. Visit Karelia. This site provides information on attractions, accommodations, and local activities around Lake Ladoga, including historical sites and natural wonders. 3. Ladoga Cruises. They offer boat trips on Lake Ladoga, which could provide a fantastic way to explore the lake and its surroundings. For gear, you'll want to look into outdoor and camping supplies. Local outdoor shops or online retailers specializing in hiking and camping gear should have everything you need. If you're into cultural experiences, don't miss local festivals and events that celebrate the region's history and traditions. Remember to check for the latest travel advice and availability before planning your trip. Happy exploring.
Yeah, thank you. Uh, yeah, so a general kind of guide, but even though you have seen, if you have followed along the gameplay, I invite you to absolutely, of course, to do that, and you can see more or less what it looks like here, and that's wonderful. I think I really think that's nice in this format. So you can find us on YouTube, as I said, the gameplay, especially also the pure audio, as we download the both or upload both to different platforms. So yeah, gameplay with audio on YouTube, and then pure audio on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and Podchaser, maybe many others in the future. Let's see. And then, of course, you can find us on Patreon if you want to support us on top of subscribing and commenting, liking, and such things. We do episode services, so if you are interested for that we do entire retreat does tailor-made custom episodes for you, or you want to be a part of our episodes as a remote guest. So yeah, you can be here, appear here as a remote guest and fly with us and discuss whatever places and topics you want. Yeah, so that's a possibility also, and the information regarding that is found on Patreon. Entire retreat on Patreon. That is entire retreat on Patreon, and you can write us, of course, at entiredretreat@gmail.com if you have some questions. And now, ending this AI Sky, could you be so kind that you say thank you for watching and or listening for this episode, and yeah, we hope that we see you in the future. This is entire retreat over and out, and do that in Russian and then in Finnish after that. I'm not sure if there's a Karelian language or something like that is separate from those two. If there is, please say or share with me that there are, and then do this translation also in Karelian. Yeah, I have limited knowledge regarding that, so.
Sure thing. Here's the sign off in Russian, Finnish, and Karelian. Russian. Спасибо за просмотр и или прослушивание этого эпизода. Надеемся увидеть вас в будущем. Это был Entired Retreat. Прощаемся. Kiitos katsomisesta ja tai kuuntelusta. Toivottavasti näemme tulevaisuudessa. Tämä oli Entired Retreat. Hei hei. Karelia, kiitämme katsomisesta ja kuuntelusta. Toivomme näkevämme teidät tulevaisuudessa. Tämä oli Entired Retreat. Näkemiin. If you need more information or have other questions, feel free to ask.
Yeah, I don't know. The two last translations were Finnish with different synonyms for the words. So yeah, yeah. All right. Thank you. This was part one of Finnish history. Yeah, from Lake Ladoga, we are going to travel or migrate forth towards Finland. Yeah. So roughly northwest. Thank you. Really thank you, and bye bye.